Hello everyone, welcome to the Jacksonville History Show. I'm Harry Reagan. Tonight we're talking about the history of broadcasting in Jacksonville, and our guest is Howard Kelley. Howard, welcome.
Thank you, Harry.
You are a broadcasting pioneer, kind of. You go back a few years.
A few, yes.
Started out as a reporter and rose to the job of general manager at Channel 12.
Yes, and even when I was in high school, I was disc jockey, which my children to this day refuse to believe that their father was once a disc jockey.
Back when radio stations had DJs.
That's right.
And we're working together on a project of trying to preserve some of Jacksonville's broadcasting history.
Yes, Jacksonville has a very proud broadcasting history, both in radio and in television. We're perhaps not the first of anything in regards to our history. We didn't have the first radio station. We didn't have the first television station in the state, but nevertheless, we began very early in this market, both in radio and television. And the history that has come out of all those years of broadcasting is extremely prideful for all of us that have participated in it, because Jacksonville has contributed a great deal to the whole industry of broadcasting.
And some of us pioneers,
yes,
talking amongst ourselves when we were talking about this idea, said, does anybody care outside of people in broadcasting about broadcasting history? And I guess we kind of concluded that people do. They grew up watching it and listening to it.
You know, broadcasting develops, if it does its job well, an emotional relationship with the listener or the viewer. And it often starts very, very early in someone's life, whether they were listening to the radio. And I mean, as a child, I remember Sunday mornings before going to church listening to WJAX, the city-owned radio station, and the announcer who pretended to be a character he created, Junior Duck. And his name was Tommy Tucker, and he would read the Sunday morning comics to me before I went to church. And you know, you develop those kinds of relationships, and then as I grew up, you certainly associate yourself with the various personalities, whether it be radio or television. And those bonds last a very long time, particularly if you stay in the market. And television was a very good example of that, when you see the relationships that viewers form at a very early age. You know, your former television station, Channel 4, how many times have I heard someone say, well, my mother and father watched George Winterling, and therefore I watched George Winterling. And now we're into my grandmother and grandfather watched George Winterling. And so those relationships become very strong.
Now, we all went to be on TV as children because every TV station had a kids show.
That's right.
Not anymore.
No, unfortunately. Unfortunately, when we have had the Skipper Eds and the Ranger Hals, and that was another bond that was formed. And those relationships make everyone feel as though they're a participant in broadcasting one way or the other.
And there were a lot of live shows, not much live TV, live local TV anymore.
Yeah, the 10 o'clock in the morning period where you were almost by law, certainly by policy of the FCC, you were required to do a lot of local programming. Some of it had to be in the field of children's programming, some of it had to be in community service programming, and so it was live. We've allowed those things, so the FCC has allowed that to slip away from a mission of a local television station for many, many reasons, some good, some not so good, unfortunately. And so we don't see the local personalities develop except in the news department principally. That's where it all resides right now. But and we also saw on radio too, of course, that relationship as a teenager to the disc jockey or the radio announcer, but he was the DJ who played the music that you danced to at high school dances and then later listened to in the car radio and what have you. And that relationship started early in the morning and ended very late at night.
Yes. Well, we don't want to just bemoan the passing of an era of TV that we loved, but it was a lot of fun.
Sure,
it's something that we all enjoyed. Who knows what it's going to be in the future?
No, we don't. We don't have a good grasp of what the future is going to be, and that's a future to a large degree developed by technology, and how that technology then rebuilds a relationship with the listener and the viewer. I mean, the newspaper industry is going through this right now as well.
And in a little while, we're going to show an oral history with Marshall Rowland, one of our colleagues, pioneers, and we did one with you.
Yes.
And I remember one of the things that you told me when we did an interview was you might have been the very first family in Jacksonville to have a television set.
Yes. My father was a tinkerer, radio repairman. He fixed your radio and your Victrolas, but he also was very interested in television in those early days before we had television in Jacksonville, certainly before we had a broadcast station. And he bought all the parts, and he put together probably the city's first television set. And I remember for my 8th birthday that I was able to invite a lot of the kids from my first grade class to come and to my birthday party in the backyard where my father had set up a TV set.
And could bring in New Orleans.
He brought in New Orleans, WWL, and we saw probably the better part of 20 minutes of the Lone Ranger. The rest of it all turned into snow as the evening wore on and the signals got thinner.
And then you went on to University of Florida, College of Journalism Communications.
Right.
And ended up back at Channel 12 as a reporter.
Channel 12 was a bit of a dream of mine. It came on the air when I was in high school, and I was very interested in that brand new television station. It came on the air as the first all-color television station in the industry, one of the historical markers that we have here in Jacksonville. It was a TV station built from the ground up to be in color. And I took a fancy to the station and didn't know anyone there. It just seemed like it would be a nice place to work, a new television station. And I was going into broadcasting, and I set my objectives. One of the few goals in life that I've said that's what I'm going to do, and I did it. And that was when I graduated, I wanted to work for Channel 12, and I got that job eventually.
Now, if we pursue this history of broadcasting project, we might have a museum someday. Could be kind of a fascinating place to go and see some of what television was like when it was live and black and white.
Yes. Well, we have a lot of artifacts, if you will, of broadcasting. We've got, I can't tell you the number of bumper stickers from radio stations that have been collected through the years. The competition, of course, drew all of that out. And all the other memorabilia, the microphones, the cameras, the equipment, the hardware that went with it, as well as all the photographs of events that have taken place and the things that we've all participated in.
Yeah. Well, Howard Kelley, thank you very much for being with us on this show.